Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Get Hired India. My name is Deepthi Jain, and I'm an editor with LinkedIn News. And we're going to have a very interesting live discussion today. It's the first month of a new year, and in the weeks ahead, we have lined up for you some very exciting interviews with some equally exciting guests to talk to you and to bring to you about the latest updates on the job market right here on Get Hired India. So please hit subscribe to the Get Hired newsletter so that you can get our regular updates on our interviews and articles. You can lift up your mobile phones and scan this code right now. So today's discussion is going to be around the startup ecosystem in India. And after all the gloom and doom reports of pay cuts or layoffs that we read about in 2020, we want to know how stable the ecosystem will be in 2021. Will hiring pick up? And if yes, which are the sectors or the areas that we'll see hiring pick up in? To talk to us about all of this today, we have with us Mr. Harish Chawla. He is a partner at private equity fund True North and an active angel investor. Prior to this, he was the group CEO of Viacom 18 and Network 18, and he continues to mentor internet and consumer startups in India. He's also actually one of the most vocal proponents of Indian entrepreneurship. In fact, in one of his very recent blog posts, he mentions that there could not be a better time to be an entrepreneur than right now. Does this sound counterintuitive? Well, we'll get to know about it in a little bit when we speak to Harish. Meanwhile, just to let you know, for all the members who are joining this live discussion today, this is an interactive session. So please post your questions for Harish in our live stream, and we'll try to take them as we go through the interview. Harish, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here on LinkedIn News. Hi,
Great to speak
Deepthi.
to Harish. Hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Harish, like I just mentioned, and this is something that I've been meaning to ask you in your very
Okay.
recent blog post that I just mentioned. You said that this is the absolute best time to be an entrepreneur in India, and you talked about
Yeah.
your predictions for 2021, the trends that we are likely to see. Uh, what's behind this bullishness?
So if you see what, if you need to pull back, and my sense is a lot of people are thinking 2021 is going to be an extension or is near 2020. But actually what's happened is the pandemic has accelerated life by almost a decade in some cases. So you should look at 2020 as 2010 and 21 as 21. And if you look back, what's happened is that you should look at COVID at the pandemic as a like a earthquake, which is followed by a series of tsunamis. We've seen traditional companies getting the ones that were not strong become weaker. The ones that were strong have actually become stronger and are standing tall after this earthquake. But the tsunami of digital consumption and digital transactions and the amount of funding that's going to come in the entire digital sector is like a tsunami that we are yet to see waves of. What happens is when you see this market, India has been always an under-penetrated and inaccessible market. We have layers of the economy, one, two, and three, which I've talked about earlier. But a lot of digital services were under-penetrated. Consumption of digital, let's say, content had penetrated over the last few years, but digital service economy had not reached everybody. With the pandemic, I think what's happened is this whole push economy where all the startups and all the entrepreneurs really pushing for adoption has become a pull economy as consumers have really changed their behavior during the pandemic. So, one of the things that happens, a lot of reasons that startups or new businesses fail. And some of them really fail because they're swimming against the time of the tides of the time. But that timing is now right. Consumers are willing to adopt. They are accessible. We are seeing penetration of several digital transaction businesses, several digital services, payments, e-commerce, content. All of that has ballooned in the last 1 year. So what we couldn't have done in, let's say, 5 years, we've done it in 6 months across sectors, across modes of digital consumption. When you put that into play, the fact that consumer is willing to pull, penetration is now rising, the cost of reaching customers has come down, it's the best time to start up a new business. And I'm not talking, my focus has been on the fact that there is a digital tsunami, but there are other behavioral tsunamis that are coming, which we are seeing right now. So the demand for new businesses and startups will be across sectors, not just only technology, actually.
Right. Interesting point you mentioned, Harish, that it's not just technology, but across sectors that we'll see a demand in. Would you say that, this pandemic has actually created a new wave of entrepreneurs? And particularly which sectors or which areas are we seeing this come up in? If there are any anecdotes or examples you can share, that would be wonderful too. Uh, Harish, can you hear us? Okay, I think Harish has got disconnected. Probably some network issue. For those members who are joining us right now, we are live on Get Hired India, and we are talking to Harish Chawla, who is a partner at True North, a private equity fund, and he's an angel investor. And we are talking to him about what the outlook for startups, for the startup ecosystem will look like in 2021. We have some great questions from members that are coming in. For instance, member questions and comments. For instance, Mr. Haridas, he talks about how digitalization gained fillip in 2016, and now it's accelerating enormously hereafter. This is exactly what Harish just mentioned to us seconds ago about how digitalization has transformed this from a push economy into a pull economy, and the startups that were strong are getting stronger. Amitabh from Amitabh Chiranjeev, he tells us that the best part of the pandemic is second-rate cities, towns, semi-rural, and rural economies have grown because many youth have shifted from metros to their respective towns due to work from home. Amitabh, we will definitely be, hopefully when Harish is back, we'll be asking him about how the pandemic has spurred job seekers to probably move back to the small towns and maybe don the entrepreneurial hat. Haridas tells us that formalization of the economy will be in fast track mode. Absolutely. Um, okay, great. Looks like Harish is back on.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Internet digital connection problems.
Yeah. So, Harish, the question that I just asked you before you fell off was that if the COVID-19 has created a new wave of entrepreneurs, and are there certain sectors or areas or cities that we are seeing this more pronounced in?
Yeah, so I think you're going to see it across. So let's again pull back. How do you look at opportunities in this situation? One is there is a change in consumer behavior, which is what's happening to our lives, how we shop, how we entertain ourselves, how we consume things, and how we live in the homes that we live in, how we work from home. That's one, let's say, whole series of behavioral changes that will drive businesses. So you're seeing already, imagine what's happening in the food business. With the pandemic, a lot of people went back to the kitchen. The demand for processed food and snacks has just ballooned. So you have to take it from one aspect, what's changed in consumers' lives. The second thing you have to talk about is really what's changing at the workplace. Because a lot of changes also are taking in the workplace, that all companies are now forced to be digital, forced to learn how to collaborate asynchronously. So again, that opens up a series of, let's say, opportunities for companies to work to create, let's say, software that helps. Because remember, technology companies always had collaboration software. When you wrote code, you had ability to collaborate and build it. But regular companies have had to learn these new skills. So if you look at it, there is the whole change in the consumer's life, which means they are now looking for digital transactions first. So they search for everything digitally first. So if you're in a business and are supplying something and you don't exist you're not becoming a digital native, you will shrink compared to your competitors, because the consumer is going digital first. So if you're a company that had, let's say, a 5-year digital plan of building, the multiple touch points that consumers need, you may be fine today, you may not be fine in a year's time. So that's a whole series of opportunities that one needs to examine across sectors. Look at consumer behavior in food. As you're seeing in delivery, consumers have just shifted to not stepping out of home, but pressing a button and getting served at home. So that changes the opportunity for delivery businesses, changes the opportunity for small businesses, because small businesses, the ones that actually adopt digital quickly, will again
Mhm.
see fantastic growth. So you
Right.
have to break it down and then see that actually the opportunity is there in every sector in India, because a lot of friction existed in our markets. If
Mhm.
you look at every segment of our economy, it's been a high cost, high friction, let's say, businesses that have been built there. I mean, in those
Right.
sectors. And
Right.
now with digital technology, you're making it frictionless, you're making it accessible, and you're dropping transaction cost. the cost of setting up a bank account is probably 1/20th of what it was 5 years ago. So with the digital rails that we've built now, the pull from consumers, you put these two factors together, and you put this factor of behavior change that the pandemic has brought about, a lot of
Right.
which will be permanent. You're seeing a tremendous opportunity in every sector, I would say. Now, if you want to go back as to what's the biggest opportunities, I think one is that edtech. I mean, clearly we're seeing education as a thing that will completely transform itself in the next 5 years.
Right.
We saw the beginning of that pre-pandemic, but I think what's going to show up in the next few years is something that we've never seen, because no longer are you constrained by the physicality of a classroom.
Right.
No longer are you constrained by the need to be in a room and only then learn. So
Sure.
these are the changes that are happening.
Harish, so two things here. One, of course, you spoke about how even traditional companies are and have to invest on digitalization
Yeah.
front. We have a member question about, are there any basic instructions for traditional startups to invest digitally? And the second part of the question, you mentioned about, how edtech, which has seen, of course, a huge boom during 2020. Do you think that that trend will sustain going ahead? Because as we see restrictions lift and, schools or colleges getting back on, do you think that the boom or the growth rate for edtech startups will sustain even post COVID?
Yeah, so you see what the pandemic does. Let me take the edtech question first. So my sense is the boom is not going to go away at all. What the boom is going to do is change the winners and the losers. So remember that, even if you go back to the classrooms, the fact is that if you're going to a weaker institution, there is no reason why any Indian need not learn from the best professor. Suppose you want to learn math, you want to learn it from the best lecturer anywhere. And
Right.
that lecturer was inaccessible earlier or undiscovered earlier. Now the fact that that person is discovered and he's accessible will transform the whole landscape. So you will have the whole sector boom, but within that the weaker players will actually just die out completely. As we are seeing, coaching institutes are obviously on a down. So when they come back, not all of them will come back at all. And the ones who don't adopt digital tools or don't create hybrid learning tools will actually just disappear. So it's not, so I agree that it's not as if, the whole world is only going to be digital. But the fact is that if you're not hybrid, if you're not a mixture of an experience which is, let's say, offline and online, and if you're not doing the right things on the digital front, you will naturally lose market share and actually disappear from the market. So the bigger players or the better digitally suited players are going to grow dramatically, and we're seeing that their hiring is up, the number of employees. You see edtech hiring go up. You've seen hyperlocal businesses hiring go up.
Mhm.
So all the sectors I spoke about, you're seeing hiring go up massively. And equally the other trend, all the companies that were non-digital or were traditional are now looking for digital talent. There is no choice. There is no choice at all, that they have to learn these new tools of the trade.
Sure. And if you could take the member question, please, Harish, about, are there any basic instructions for traditional startups to invest digitally?
So if you're no, so I think it's very clear that you need to really understand what are the gifts that technology give you. I call them the gifts of technology. Essentially, whenever you use your own smartphone, you're seeing that when you order a meal from Swiggy, you're able to track it completely. You know where it is, you know the status, you have this complete sense of control. When you order a car from Uber, you have a complete sense of control. When you send money to somebody, it reaches them instantaneously. When you shop nowadays, the invoice comes on your email instantly. So what you're seeing is that you have to learn the power of observation, saying how are the best companies setting expectation in using digital, because now it's become a level playing field. If the digital companies are setting my expectations of instant delivery, of trackability, of instant payment, of instant response, of instant helplines, any company that doesn't meet those expectations is going to be in trouble. So it's a sudden, let's say, tsunami for a traditional company that suddenly, who had probably, let's say, a few touch points, maybe a retailer, maybe a sales team, suddenly realize that they have to be available everywhere at the same time. And they cannot not meet the expectations that the digital players are setting. So it's a fundamental. I think all the secrets can be unlocked if people pay more attention to how they are being served by these digital companies and take their cues from there. technology is no longer, let's say, a barrier now because many solutions are available on the cloud. You need to know how to use it, and you need to change the workflow of your organization. So the biggest challenge is not outside actually, it's inside. Most employees of most companies know how well service they get digitally actually. Most CEOs also end up using. So I'm sure that a Indian PSU bank CEO uses, let's say, Google Pay and see how quickly it works, right?
Right.
That frictionless access, that ability to serve the customer instantly, they have to bring inside their organization. And that will happen only by changing, breaking the silos in the organization and reworking their entire workflow. So, it's not going to be easy. Several companies will fail, but you can see, as you can see, how Jio has transformed. If you see one of the biggest stories in India is actually how a refinery company is now one of the biggest and fastest moving startups in India. And now we are seeing other players try and catch up. You're seeing the Tatas move now, try and acquire stakes in startup businesses. By hook or by crook, these companies will have to meet expectations of customers that are set by some of the best in the market.
Absolutely. So you're saying a lot of re-innovation of businesses, the modus operandi of several businesses will have to happen
Absolutely.
to sustain.
And if the
Right.
world has changed, you have to change. So I'm saying that what we don't realize that 2020 is actually 2010. That's
Right.
the acceleration that happened. So if you're sitting in a company in the leadership position, if you don't see this, that the world outside has completely transformed, you have to take immediate steps to realign your team, your business processes to this new reality.
Sure. Just quickly for the members who are joining us right now, we are speaking to Mr. Haresh Chawla, partner at True North, and we're talking about the startup outlook for 2021. Quickly coming back, you spoke about how hiring, especially you mentioned the edtech sector, for instance, which has seen humongous growth during the last year, and how we're seeing hiring trends pick up there too. There's a member question from Pooja Bajpai, and she's saying, especially in India, do you see more gig work happening? I just add a little bit to it. So, of course, one major challenge that startups faced during this time was hiring and onboarding employees remotely. So do you think that this pandemic has also created an opportunity for marketplaces to gain prominence in the sense that, hiring or for employees for project-based work or on a gig work basis? And do you think many entrepreneurs are using this as an opportunity to rely more on short-term hiring skilled labor for the short term, or just for specific project-based needs?
Yeah, so I think yes. The answer to that question is yes. So my sense is, as I talked about earlier, technology companies had learned how to collaborate in an asynchronous manner. How their workflows were designed that if employees need to collaborate, they don't need to be in front of each other. They don't need to be in the same time zone, and they can operate a bit sequentially, but keep each other updated and work on the same piece of work. Those skills have to be learned again. And the companies that are learning those are slowly realizing that they don't have to get restricted by hiring people in their same city or in their same location. So my sense is that it's going to be a difficult transition for traditional companies, but the demand for your talent, my sense is that you will be able to offer your skills to maybe two companies at the same time. So definitely the gig economy in India, especially if you're a technology person or a growth person or a person who understands SEO, SEM, anything to do with because that talent will be in huge demand, frankly.
Yeah.
India does not have the talent that is needed now on the digital front. That's the biggest opportunity, actually. So
Yeah.
when the talent is not available, people will be willing to hire a good engineer wherever he sits. It doesn't matter. And the engineers
Yeah.
also realize. So if you see what's happened to salaries, except for the technology part of your organization, people have left those untouched, even when they
Mhm.
had to downsize or even right size their salaries. They've
Yeah.
not touched that.
Yeah. So one point you mentioned here, interesting, is that there is huge demand right now for digital and tech skills, but at the same time, there is a lot of talent gap as well. So, what skills for someone, say a fresher or a graduate who's looking for a job at a startup right now, what would you say would be the utmost important skills that the person should focus on? And in terms of exporting talent outside of India, what are some of these top skills that you see that
Yeah.
absolutely a young job seeker should focus on?
Yeah, so I see there are three opportunities which the pandemic is throwing up for us. The first opportunity is clearly in the core digital businesses itself. So those are SaaS companies, digital startups, large companies like Flipkart, Walmart, Amazon. I mean, all those companies are going to grow and they're going to need talent. So that's one, let's say, whole space. The other second opportunity is that traditional companies will suddenly need to hire digital teams.
Mhm.
Uh, and people who actually on both sides on they have to reformat their product and make it digital content, because when you buy a car now, you want to make sure that you understand, you will have to first interface will be a search that you'll do digitally. So any product, so their digital avatar of their business needs to come as content, so everything becomes a content or a media, in terms of, so that's one big transition. The second transition, they need to maintain and make sure their workflows are seamless, from outside and inside. So there's one second opportunity is working in the digital teams in the traditional companies. And the
Mhm.
third opportunity, which is massive for us, which I call it a Y2K moment, that's come back again, is the entire global opportunity. As companies across the world are forced, I repeat the word, they are forced to transform digitally much faster, much quicker. The demand for talent from those entities can be serviced by India. We've seen the large Infosys TCSs actually start delivering fantastic results, but I think just
Yeah.
the beginning of this boom. So
Mhm.
all these three opportunities are massive job opportunities. So if you're, and India has huge number of unemployable but educated graduates. I think
Okay.
that skill gap has to be filled where, people have to learn how to code. I call it in
Mhm.
code in India will probably be a bigger shift for India than make in India.
Mhm.
We need to. The second thing coding does is relieves you of physicality, so you can work for a business in Bangalore but stay in Hoshiarpur. So
Yeah.
your cost structures will come down. You can stay
Mhm.
at home, right? You can your job opportunities suddenly change.
Right.
Girls can enter the workforce. I think our labor participation of women is very low. Uh,
Mhm.
but this whole that coding demand of talent that is needed across the world and in India
Yeah.
will
Mhm.
just open opportunities for women as well. So it's a massive thing. If you're a graduate or you're working for 2 3 years, go learn how to learn the skills that digital companies need. So it's coding,
Mhm.
it's digital content, it is
Mhm.
search engine optimization, it's cloud management. It's a ton of skills that can be learned. And if you're basically a brilliant or a good graduate who's never done coding, doesn't matter. You can pick it up in a year or so,
Sure.
and it
So you
changes your
mentioned,
employment prospects completely.
absolutely. You mentioned about how code in India and so the whole Millennium Bug and the Y2K operations. I remember there were articles back then which said that, how it was a boom time for India, and how, the techno coolie operations from that Hyderabad, for instance, had transformed
Yeah,
into a software center. So would you call this a similar inflection point, and do you think that there is scope for similar generation of tech hubs, especially now that it's all remote work and we're seeing employees move back to their small towns, and jobs really can be done from anywhere?
yeah.
So do you have some two or three such hotspots where you see the scope or the demand for such talent supply?
Absolutely. So imagine this situation where I'm living in a small colony in a small town in India.
Mhm.
And now there is a neighbor of mine who's actually spent 6 months learning coding and ended up getting a job in a business out of Bombay or Bangalore or whatever. And he's working remotely. His salary jumped by 3x. I think these signals are reaching people now. So you and me talking about the opportunity is not going to matter as much as people in the smaller towns of India or the graduates who've passed out and are really not ready to be getting a good salary or getting employed in companies.
Mhm.
Learning from each other, it will reset the aspirations because the demand
Yeah.
is astronomical actually,
Yeah.
both abroad and in India. So I think in the next few months we'll see these signals coming out of the market where people
Mhm.
will see their neighbors, see their family members. Suddenly, I was earning 15,000 rupees a month, and now I've got a 40,000 rupee job at a business in which is running, let's say, a SaaS product and selling it to American customers. Uh, Salary jumps. The companies are willing to teach you. So digital skills are something that you will everybody gets outdated of. So if you work hard, digital skills, you are not worse off than anybody else actually, because everybody is in the same zone. They have to update themselves. So one of the great advantage you'll have that if you are basically a hardworking a person who's willing and open to keep learning new skills, the digital front will never leave you behind because as long as you're willing to update your skills, you learn Java, now learn Python. If you learn Python, learn a new language, learn Julia, learn all the new languages that are coming out, learn new areas of programming, learn how DevOps works. So it's an amazing opportunity for all of us, much bigger than Y2K. Y2K, we put talent out. This time we can put talent and products out of India.
Sure. We have some amazing member questions that are coming in. Thank you so much for all the members who are joining us on this live stream. We have Mr. Ajinkya Nayak. He's asking, it's becoming more difficult for startups to get funding, and which is crucial to move forward, of course. How should a startup convince angel investors after the pandemic?
So my sense is that you have to remove 6 months of the last 1 year. I don't think funding. I think funding is about to accelerate. Or already has accelerated actually. So if you know, we'll get numbers and figures being thrown around by people that 2020 was a lower funding year than 2019, but all those numbers are irrelevant now. On a monthly basis, what I'm seeing is that more and more money is flowing into digital startups across sectors, whether you take agri-tech, space tech, ed tech, health tech, e-commerce, hyper-local businesses. So I think funding is available. What one needs to do is refine the idea carefully. So the best thing to do is to go with some proof of validation to get funding. You can't just sit in one place, speak to four neighbors, and say that this idea makes sense, right? So my
Mhm.
sense is that the best thing to do, because frankly, you have to step back and see how consumer behavior has changed, and then analyze a gap in the market, spend some of your own money from friends and family, make sure that you work hard and go out in the market and get some validation before you go out and try and raise money on just a deck that is looking nice. So
Yeah.
I think that will also help you, because if your validation is not coming through, you need to move on to the next idea. There is
Mhm.
no lack of ideas. We are just such a high friction, high cost market with so much inflexibility and infirmities that if you are a team that's putting together a digital way to service any business or any need, there is massive opportunity. So it's actually good for you to validate and see whether that business is really a great opportunity to go after,
Yeah.
rather than
Right.
just think of ideas and just go ahead and say, okay, can I send the deck to 50 people?
Mhm. Sure. So, Harish, of course, 2020 was a very volatile, very chaotic year, not just for startups, but overall. But, there have been reports that there are signs of recovery that we are seeing
Yeah.
in the ecosystem. How do you see the broad outlook for 2021, Harish, in terms of especially hiring and learning in the new normal? How do you think that will happen?
My sense is that I think we are on a multi-year transformation of hiring across the board. So I know the stock market's high, and maybe they reflect more the liquidity in the world than just the sheer comeback of India from the pandemic. I think India is blessed to have had come out relatively unscathed from the pandemic, and this whole digital transformation. See, because earlier we couldn't reach customers, so we were all operating selling $10 products to 100 customers before the pandemic. Now the ability to go out and sell $1 products to millions of customers has come about. I think everybody in the ecosystem is realizing this. So you will find that the demand shift that we can all see will drive a lot of hiring, building of new businesses across the board. Because suddenly a mass of Indian customers who were either inaccessible or unwilling to transact has just opened up. So of course there are issues that will come around fraud and stuff, but you can see how UPI is done. The UPI payments are just galloping away. We are the world's largest cash economy that has to turn cashless.
Yeah.
Once it turns cashless, you will find that the transaction speed across sectors will improve dramatically.
Mhm.
So I see a multi-year bull run, actually, in that sense, if you want to call it a bull run, in the hiring of talent and especially digital talent.
a bull run in hiring of digital talent, especially. All right, Harish, just one last question before I let you go. And we have a question from our member, Preetham Samuel. He's asking, which is the most promising sector in which you can have a startup? I'll just elaborate on this a little bit. Could you highlight maybe 3 or 5 entrepreneurship buckets that we are seeing emerge or already or we will see going ahead, and where would you be putting your money in?
So, one of the big things that themes I see is this, as I talked about, a lot of companies got built to sell $10 products to 100 customers. And now I'm saying if you create $1 product, there are now millions of customers available. So I think the one of the biggest opportunities that's going to grow, and we're seeing that with, startups like Dukaan or Khatabook, and I've talked about that as they make it relatively low cost, low friction, and low barriers to access, means multiple languages. So if you open, let's say, there's a startup called Register Book, which I've invested in. It opens with 10 languages upfront. It's an Excel in Hindi, in Malayalam, in Tamil. It's mobile first. So my thing is that don't go by the sector. Every sector has missed that India, let's say 2 and 3, servicing them. And there is one way to look at that opportunity. India 2 and 3 can be served across sectors. The needs were served for India 1, but those opportunities now exist in massive scale in India 2 and 3. So that's one way to look at this whole market. So whether it's EdTech also. So even EdTech, you can take a Byju subscription for 25,000 rupees, but there are several startups willing to give you education over just maybe audio for 90 rupees a month. And that scale will be massive. If you look at content as well, you can pay 250 rupees for subscribing to an OTT platform, but there are multiple startups coming, serving in audio, serving in short form video at low cost. So I think that the penetration in the market will be determined by the kind of services you create. The cost of reaching those customers is low. The cost of acquisition of those customers is low. And they are waiting for getting the same services. Technology democratizes everything. So I pay by UPI, and so does a villager living somewhere in the middle of UP use UPI. That whole shift, that we are democratizing technology, and then we have a user base which is probably the largest in the world for our digital services, underpenetrated, never tried before. They're waiting for it. So you have to. So my sense is that do not go by sector. You have to look at your skills, your capabilities, your team. Then look at the areas you'd like to want to work in, validate a need, and then build a business. So, I can say EdTech is great. Of course, EdTech is great. Health tech is great. Agri-tech is great. There is no sector today that's not great to build a good business in, actually.
Great. All right, Harish, thank you so much for speaking to us today. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical glitches in the beginning.
That's all right. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was Harish Chawla of True North talking to us about the outlook for 2021 for the startup ecosystem. His advice right now is it's a bull run for digital talent. So all the young job seekers, spruce yourself up with digital talent, with coding, and Harish actually equates Make in India with Code in India right now. Well, we'll be back very soon in the next couple of weeks with more updates around the job sector. Meanwhile, please subscribe. You can hold up your phones and scan the QR code that we're showing on the screen right now. And please subscribe to Get Hired India to get more updates. Meanwhile, stay safe.